What's up, guys? I'm here with a little bit of a jungle guide for you. Um, this is a smaller part of my jungle guide, but I'm just trying to give you guys a small little guide on how I approach the jungle. And I believe the most important step in jungling like a somewhat high elo player would be the step-by-step pre-game checklist. So, what do I mean by step-by-step? The first thing you do if you play jungle is you have to assess these two things, ideally these four, but I really want to emphasize the jungle matchup and the lane matchup. So, what do I mean by that? Every single time you load into a game, you want to assess the 1v1 matchup you have in the jungle. So, the champ you are playing and the enemy is playing. So, we categorize jungle champs into two categories, into early game strong junglers and into more like scaling junglers or junglers who need a certain power spike and items and levels to be really strong. So your typical early game junglers would be the Nidalee, the Graves, Kindred, Elise, Lee Sin, Sinsaos, Belveths. There's a couple more, but these are like your main junglers which are really strong in the early game and really good at invading, and they have a lot of early game power. The second category would be like the scaling, more passive early game junglers who are really weak if they get invaded, especially. And that would be your Hecarim, your Shyvanas, your Fiddlesticks, that's wrong. Kha'Zix is kind of he can be really strong early on, and you can actually invade a lot of junglers, especially with Dark Harvest. But I'll just put him in this section here because I believe with these champions they most of the time win 1v1. And yeah, and Diana would be another jungler, for example. So that's the first thing. You have to assess if you're stronger or weaker or equally strong to the enemy jungler, okay? Second thing, the lane matchup. This will determine if you can invade, of course, if your lanes have prior, and of course to which lane you want to path towards. Because we always want to path towards strong lanes, and lanes not only strong, but lanes where we can get a lot of gold, aka kills, and value overall. So, with the lane matchups, you really have to determine who has push, who has prior, who is really strong. This also depends on summoner spells, so if they pick Ignite or TP. And for example, in the mid lane, something like Akshan is actually kind of strong, of course, depending on which champion he's playing against in the mid lane. Because not only does he have the range advantage, which allows him to poke pretty much every mid laner pretty good, but he also has the advantage that he has a lot of prior with his wave clear. He can move very quickly to skirmishes in the jungle, and that makes him overall, of course, depending on the mid lane matchup, a very strong jungler. So let's say we played something like a Nidalee, and we had an Akshan against the Marza mid lane, for example, who really needs like level 6 to be really impactful in the early game, especially if you compare these two. If we played Nidalee with an Akshan against a, let's say, passive jungler like Hecarim and mid lane Marza, when it comes to this matchup, and not taking the top and bot into context yet, this would most likely be a very good game to go for invades, if the game state allows it, of course. We of course have junglers like Yasuo, is also very decent. We have champs like Qiyana. Qiyana actually in the early games has 9 times out of 10 she will be pushed in, but Qiyana can actually just drop the wave and go for the skirmish and just deal a lot of damage, okay? Then we have junglers like Vex and Ahri, or not junglers, mid laners. These mid laners are really, they can be very useful in jungle skirmishes, but usually if you compare them to these mid laners, they need their spikes, so their level 6, their items and whatnot. So that's for the mid lane matchups. Top lane matchups, your typical matchups would be tank matchups. So let's say a Malphite, who's only really strong once he hits level 6. Then you have top laners like Renekton, oftentimes with Ignite, really strong, especially since he has the CC setup. So for if I was playing Nidalee, Hecarim, Renekton against Kayle would be a very good lane to path towards. Of course, I put Vayne in here as well. Sometimes if your bot lane is weak and you have a Vayne top, which is really a bully, you can actually play for this lane as well. Even if she has TP, since she has the range matchup and is a top lane bully most of the time. For your bot lanes, you have two categories. You have these enchanter more like supports or range supports, and you have engaged supports. The one of the strongest bot lanes is really Draven with like an engaged support like Pyke or Nautilus. Very strong lane. They have most of the times Ignite. They have Engage. Really good setup and really strong. So Draven Nautilus lane is really, it's never wrong to pair for this lane. Then of course you could have something like, I don't know, Varus Yumi. Not too strong, not a lot of ganks up. Can still gank this lane, but not as strong as like, let's say, Draven Nautilus. Then lanes with Channa are not too strong, not a lot of gank setup. You can of course get kills if the game allows it, but Channas will most of the time look to roam. And of course, even though Caitlyn and Karma don't have a lot of engage, they are very strong. They poke a lot, they have a lot of damage. So even though they don't have really an engage, pathing for this lane is also very good. So you see, there's not a go-to formula, but you need an overall understanding. Like, the game is way too complicated to just say, okay, engage support, path for this. Because, like, let's say you have a Caitlyn Karma. Unless your top lane is Giga Stomping, I would path for this lane, okay? But I will go into like 3 games I played today to showcase you guys exactly like practical examples of how I determine for which lanes to play. Alright guys, so heading into the first game, I'm playing Viego against a Kha'Zix. So in this game right here, we'll just go step by step through my checklist. So first of all, we think about the jungle matchup, right? So I'm playing Viego with Conqueror against the Kha'Zix with Dark Harvest. So Viego would fall into the category who's a really strong scaler, actually, especially if he gets kills early on. But Viego, especially with Conqueror, is actually a really strong jungler in the early game, to be honest. You will beat most of the junglers in the 1v1 matchup. But since Kha'Zix actually has Dark Harvest, and if he gets an isolated Q on me, so he can burst me really quickly. So I don't want to go into skirmishes with the Kha'Zix where he can, just one-shot me, basically. I want to take extended fights, or preferably kill him when he's, like, low doing his camps or something like this. So that's the jungle matchup. Second of all, now we have to look at our lanes. So, on the bot lane, I have a Draven, which is pretty much an indicator that this is a very strong lane. Remember, Draven, he's playing with PTA. He will deal lots of damage. And even though he only has a melee, the enemies are playing Jhin and Seraph. They're very squishy. It's not like they have a lot of survivability. And especially if they have no flashes up, I can easily play for this lane. And especially on Viego with my movement speed, if I gank them with my E. Getting a kill on this lane should be very easy, which we want to do, right? We want to get gold, we want to get ahead, and preferably put our strong lanes ahead. The top lane matchup in this game, I have a Garen against Nasus. I think this is a winning lane. He also has Ignite, but now here comes the tricky part with jungling. You wanna play for your strongest lane for your win conditions, right? So Garen, like if he's 5-0, he can really take over games, especially this game, I believe. But how do we get this guy 5-0? Like getting a kill top lane is fine, especially if I'm like doing my red set quadrant here and level 3 getting top lane. But I believe if this is like not 100% possibility to get a kill top side, I would way rather path bot side. Because the thing is, if I get a kill top side and my Kha'Zix in turn double kills my bot lane, that's not worth it all. So in this game I will actually path to my bot side, because I believe a Draven who's ahead is way more useful than my Draven being 0-5 and useless and my Garen is slightly ahead, right? So by this I will most likely path bot side. And if the Kha'Zix paths top lane, that's fine. I'm just trying to get my bot lane ahead. So with the mid lane matchup, we have a Ahri TP against Lissandra with TP. Pretty even lane, pretty even wave clear. None of them are really strong in the early game. I would say they're equally strong. So, By having determined this, I know to which lane I will path towards, and as I've said, I believe I'm stronger than Kha'Zix when I'm invading him on his camps. So my goal here is to just clear my top side. If there's nothing happening top or mid, I would just most likely look for an invade on his red buff, if he's pathing towards bot lane. If he started on his red buff, I would just go for a full clear to my bot side, since I cannot invade his red buff if he starts there. And yeah, that's my plan in this game. So in this game I actually start on my Raptors. I think starting on my red is also fine. I'd like the Raptors clear in this game because it allows for a quick level 5. So nothing crazy here, just clearing my camps. Would actually fast forward. Preferably I would use my ward level 1 on either on his blue or red buff or on his Raptors, so I know where the Kha'Zix is. So this is something I should have done, to be honest. So right now I ping his blue buff, so just in case he's topside, and I preferably want to look bot lane. In this case I actually see my bot lane trading, that's why I pan my camera bot side. And I also pan my camera bot side because if my bot lane has, let's say, no sums and they're like 1 HP, I kind of want to posture for a counter gank in case the Kha'Zix is on bot side, since we don't know where he started. So I will just go for a full clear now, since there is no opportunity to gank the bot lane. They still have flashes up, the wave is kind of even. And I will just go for a full clear. And yeah. Also, I want to keep my smite in case the Kha'Zix actually path towards bot side. I think my clear is actually kind of equally fast. And right now I see their bot lane was pushed in, they have no ward, so I go for this gank. My Draven actually E-flashed them, which is kind of good. I just gonna Seraph, try to kill him. We should easily kill this guy now, very nice. And again, this is very basic. But as I said, actually a very good play here. We actually end up killing the Jhin as well. And we actually see the Kha'Zix on top lane right now, okay? And again, for the Kha'Zix, I believe he should have just pathed bot side and protected his bot lane. Because even if he kills this Garen, really one kill on top lane early game, unless it's a very strong lane and you have a very weak bot lane, is really nonsense. And now you see, actually with Nasus and Kha'Zix against Garen, even though he has isolated Q damage on him, they have no setup really. And I mean, of course, the Nasus has his W, but Garen actually counters it with his Q. So it's really stupid for Kha'Zix to go top lane here. And I knew this, so I didn't go top lane and I just path for my bot side. And we now just end up pretty much very ahead. This Kha'Zix wasted a lot of time. My Garen actually does something very nice here. He actually cancels his base. And I think, yeah, look at this. This is why you don't want to play for lanes like these. It's very tough to get anything done over here. No gank setup, not enough damage, he's tanky. So yeah. And now he ends up dying to Garen, you know. So I think if this doesn't prove my point that pathing for lanes like these is nonsense, then I don't know what. So we actually end up killing the Nasus here. Again, mid laners both have equal prior, but even if Lissandra moved first here, this was a free kill. So what will I do now? I will just go for my full clear, top side. I actually believe, since the Kha'Zix, right, remember he did a full clear, will be on his bot side again, okay? There are no corrupts up and his bot camps are respawning, so he will be bot side for sure. So that's why I go for the scuttle instantly. Can possibly go for a bot lane gank. Remember, they have no flash and they have vision, but I'm kind of fast with Viego. So Kha'Zix actually ends up showing here, which I expected, because of course his bot side camps were up. He actually did one camp. And at this point, just with my lane prior, I just go for the kill here. Very easy. Also, this kill was only really possible because I got a very big lead on bot side, okay? So here I actually ended up inting pretty bad. I was just limit testing, to be honest. Kind of unlucky that he ended up flashing, killing me. Should not have happened, but it is what it is. So, the first question you have to ask is, where is Kha'Zix? He has two options. He might go for a cheeky little Drake, which I think he does. So knowing this, I actually go for the grubs. I believe grubs are not that important in this game, because we don't really have a split pusher. So with a Camille this would be so much better. But since I expected the Kha'Zix to just do the Drake, I went over here. He did not do Drake, he actually went for his top camps, which is totally fine. That's also a possibility. But since my top laner is stomping pretty hard and has a lot of prio, I just chose to go for this. And this allows me to get also a nice XP lead. And at this point, since I'm so strong, all we have to do is match the Kha'Zix, okay? So, what do I mean by that? I mean by that, since I'm so strong, if I just path towards the same lane like he is pathing towards, he will never be able to make a play and get back into this game. So Kha'Zix is actually now, as we can see, moving towards the bot side. I chose to just do my Crocs, reset them, also gives me nice gold, and I just want to reach level 6 at this point. And remember, if you're like top lane right here and your bot lane might die to a gank, you just have to push. You have to ping that Kha'Zix might be bot side, which I'm doing here. I also ping that he might be doing Drake, but even if he wastes all of his time and gets a Drake, I'm very fine with that, as long as he doesn't fuck up my bot side, and I'm just trying to get level 6. Mid lane again is Lissandra, not very gankable, she can just escape if she has her E up. So now I'm just doing my wolves, get level 6 as fast as possible. And since my Ahri is roaming by the looks of things, instead of doing my Gromp, I just path towards bot lane. Remember, I have level 6. If I was still level 5, I would most likely do my Gromp. And now I'm just planning to match the Kha'Zix or dive to bot lane. I believe I actually misplayed here quite a bit. Yeah, I should have W'd Q'd the Seraph, but all good. We matched the Kha'Zix, we end up killing him. Very nice. So what I'm doing right here, so you could go for a base, but since my Draven is so strong, I actually want to stay here a little bit. I think this is kind of an overextend. I think it's fine. I go for 1v1 actually here, but since Lissandra was moving, she actually ends up killing me. And champs like Lissandra, as I said, are only really strong if they have level 6, right? So I actually would have killed her if she had no level 6. But all fine. We get our item at 8 minutes already. And at this point, again, I just want to match the Kha'Zix. I believe he ends up going for the Drake in this game, which I did not expect, to be honest. But it's kind of a decent play, I believe. But I'm fine with that if he wants to waste his time with Drake. Again, this is a very even game in terms of scaling, so Drake actually is not too useful, okay? It's not like I have a Smolar and I have to drag this game out, no. I'm just going for the most valuable place on the map. So I get my red buff. Now I'm looking to maybe get the Scuttle. He ends up taking the Drake. So the only play for him to get really ahead here is to dive my bot lane. But I was thinking to myself, my bot lane can never die here. But still, I wanna... I believe I could go for his top camps, even though the Nasus might try to fuck me up. But since my Ahri almost has level 6, and they have no ward in this bush, I actually go for this Blend Lissandra. It's kind of risky, but I mean, I can just do this, right? She has no level 6, remember, she used it on me. Very easy kill, she overextended. And now I'm looking to play for bot lane again, right? So even though the Kha'Zix might be on his blue buff, I don't have to invade him at this point because we're so strong. Lissandra died. Ahri might just move bot lane. In case she doesn't, ping her to move. And at this point, all of this was like basically a build-up from my pathing. We killed the bot lane over and over, and I knew that this is my win condition, not my top lane. So even if my bot lane was hard losing, this game it was very won, to be honest. Just because I identified my win condition and played accordingly. So 8-2 at 10 minutes. This is like Emerald Diamond Elo. And this game is pretty much over at this point, okay? So now I will go into the next game. Alright guys, so heading into the next game, I'm playing Hecarim. So again, we just want to look at the jungle matchup. I'm playing Hecarim, which is kind of more of a passive jungler in the early game. We will not do a lot of invading or like trying to skirmish the enemy jungler, even though Sejuani is not quite strong. So even though I'm kind of a weak jungler compared to a Graves, since I'm playing with the Sejuani, and with my Silas mid lane against Orianna, we actually have quite decent damage, and we can actually go for kind of aggressive plays into the enemy team and mid and jungle matchup. Like it's a way different game. Like let's say the enemy was like a Nidalee and their mid laner was like a Kiana with Ignite. So in this game we can actually go for aggressive plays. Looking at my lanes, my top lane is actually a Poppy with TP and Grasp against a Mordekaiser with TP and Conqueror. I mean, of course, there's in some world there are sometimes gank opportunities, but comparing it to my Caitlyn Nami, which is again Caitlyn's lanes are really strong, especially with enchanters or engage supports. Pathing bot side here is the optimal play if we are looking for full clear. Also, their bot lane is very, very squishy, so and I am like a Hecarim with Ghost and Phase Rush, so going for a kill on this lane is very, very easy, okay? So, in this game, I actually wanted to start on my blue buff. What I do here is I try to go for a ward on her Raptors. Of course, we don't want to die doing this. You want to drop this ward at around 1 minute. You can also choose to keep your ward if you are playing against an aggressive jungler and you're scared of being invaded. But since the Sejuani, she's never going to invade me, okay? So she's very weak. She's more like a utility jungler. So I actually choose to go for this ward to know where she starts. And normally I would go for a full clear into my bot lane. Also in this game I think this is totally fine. But again, since I'm playing against a very weak and relatively slowly clearing jungler like Sejuani, and I actually saw her when I warded her Raptors to go to her bot side. Also saw her bot lane was leashing, as you can see by their Ezreal. He was missing mana. I actually chose to go for this invade over here. And I don't believe this is bad, but I actually had it warded, I believe, because she actually ended up going for my bot camps after her bot side. I still believe this is not too bad, since she doesn't clear as fast as me, and I benefit more from jungle camps. But you really have to ping your bot lane, okay, in case they're really trading hard, that they have to be very careful, okay? So what I want to do right here is, of course, look at my top and mid lane, in case they are moving for me in the jungle. They end up not moving, so I just go for her free camps. And at this point, after clearing her Crux and she not seeing her on her Raptors, I was actually thinking, damn, she was actually, kind of aware they had it warded or whatever. So I actually went all the way back now. Or I saw the mid laner was kind of pushed up. And since I have a Silas who is very good engaged and a lot of burst, and since Orianna was like so pushed up, instead of going for a reset and protecting my bot side, I actually go for a transition gank mid lane, killing her, and then checking my bot lane. We actually see Sejuani here. She actually has 16 CS, which means she also has red buff, which means she did 2 camps on her bot side, which equals 8 CS, and 2 of my camps, Raptors and red buff, which equals 16 CS. So we know 1 bot camp is up by her. We end up fighting here a little bit, just, trying to poke her a little bit. She ends up going to her bot side, possibly recalling, we don't know yet. And right here, I could go for the bot scuttle, but I still believe that if I just go for my full clear now, I am in a position to just, full clear to bot lane. Again, don't get baited to just gank top lane here. He's also resetting, so that doesn't make any sense. So I just wanna, best case, ping my bot lane to be careful and just let them know that I'm pathing towards them. So instead of a full clear game, this is actually more of a flexible clear. Best case, just the Sejuani, you have a ward by your mid laner on your Raptor, so you know what she's doing. And here I really see my bot lane trading. So ideally you want to ping them that you're coming. And also remember that their bot lane is really pushed up. And now I'm really looking, not going for my red buff, of course, Sejuani did it. So right now I'm really looking to either gank mid lane, since I believe we could possibly kill her if she goes for a trade. But I see the bot lane is very pushed up, okay? And as I said, Caitlyn, Nami's lane very strong, and they are so squishy I can easily kill them now. I believe I kind of misplayed this gank. I actually hit a minion. But again, the concept is the same. As I've said, ganking this lane is very free with a lot of damage. They don't have a lot of escapability. I'm Hecarim, and I don't really need items to do this. So this was all about just, looking at the map, looking at the information which I had at that time, and identifying that since the bot lane was pushed up, that I can just swoop around the Drake pit, avoid the vision, and just go for a quick double kill. So at this point, I could go for recall and contest the grubs. Here, really though, I just want to make sure that Sejuani doesn't take my camps again. So I actually keep my lead over her. And again, I want to clear camps, because if both of us are just clearing camps, I'm the one who will come out on top, because I'm Hecarim, I scale very insane. And as long as I don't get punished in the early game, especially with this kind of start with 2 KP, I'm really in a position to carry. And at this point, very important, I'm not basing. Let me actually pause here. Why am I not basing? Even though I didn't see the Sejuani topside, I knew that she's most likely topside, because that's just how she cleared. And I don't have to base here, because first of all, my support is moving with me. And second of all, I believe that I'm way stronger than them, since I have a Silas mid and Nami supporting me here. And Sejuani is really not strong, even if she has items. Also, I'm level 5, again, I cleared very efficiently, and we are really in a good position to just go for a kill here. Also, make sure to pick up this wave. Nothing too crazy here. And I believe if I fast forward, I actually go for the grubs here. And why I'm doing this, because first of all, the Sejuani died. Second of all, my Nami was here to move with me, and my Silas has prior mid lane, okay? If I didn't have a support here and their top laner and mid laner would posture to, contest this, I would not go for this and just recall. So Sejuani actually ends up kind of inting here. So I believe we just go for another kill here. And again, if this Sejuani had like my checklist and, the fundamentals I was teaching, if she was aware of that stuff, she would never go for this. And again, this is like Emerald Diamond Elu, and this is how you really get very ahead in the early game. And yeah. So now I'm going for recall. I get my Eclipse actually, and at this point you're good to go to carry this game. I will not go deeper into this game, because I just want to teach you the early game fundamentals on pathing, on reacting to information and whatnot. So let's go straight into the third game. Alright guys, so heading into the third game, I'm playing Kha'Zix with Dark Harvest against Echo with Dark Harvest. Echo is actually, he can be quite strong in the early game, if he ganks lanes and proxies Dark Harvest and gets his 3 stacks. But 1v1 in the jungle matchup, I should burst him really hard, and especially with my isolated Q. So I'm the stronger early game jungler. So in this game, since I have an Archer on mid with press the attack, against the Yasuo with fleet, which is kind of passive, I expect my mid lane to have a lot of prio. So I can actually even more so go for invades. My top lane is a Mordekaiser against the Garen. Kind of a tank bruiser matchup, not too much gank setup. Garen is kind of fast with phase rush, and if he has flash, I'm never going for a gank unless he's 1 HP, right? So when I compare this to my bot lane with a Kog'Maw Lulu against Seraphine Misfortune, even though Kog'Maw Lulu is a very scaling lane, so I don't want to let them fall behind too hard, because I believe my bot lane getting ahead is more important than my Mordekaiser just being even or slightly losing. And also, they have Seraphine Misfortune, I'm Kha'Zix. I can really pop them with my abilities, I can really one-shot them basically. They're very squishy, and even more so if they have no flash, this is a very free gank, even though I don't have a good gank setup. So my plan in this game is to just start on my red buff. And very important, starting on red buff not only allows me to path towards my bot side in this game, it also allows me to be very aggressive and to invade the Echo. So in this game, I actually end up going for a ward on his blue buff. Again, just to have information where the Echo is. If he starts on his blue buff, I know that I can invade him after my 3 topset camps with red buff. And not only am I stronger, but with red buff, me having red buff on level 3 and him only having blue buff and being an Echo, I can easily go for an invade on his red buff after my 3 camps. So this is my kind of pathing in this game. And again, I have Archer mid. He should have prio. Of course, if he doesn't have prio and my lanes are losing, invading is kind of tough. So I might just reserve to full clear. But that just depends on how the game pans out. So I actually go for a ward. And they actually end up showing. And I want to fight them actually, because I can just get my isolated Q on the Echo. And I have an Archon. So even though he unluckily got stunned, I know that we can win this easily. So I just try to deal as much damage as possible with my isolated Q on this Yasuo. Almost, lived there. But I'm fine with this. Echo died, I died, so he doesn't get a faster clear than me, to be honest. Maybe a couple of seconds. So this is very fine. But this is not the important part. The important part is I'm pathing from top to bot, possibly going for an invade if he goes to his blue buff, okay? So fast forwarding, we actually see Echo on his blue buff over here. So I know if he paths bot side, I will for sure invade his red buff if my lanes have prio, or somewhat of prio, since I'm way stronger. So in this game, ideally you should ping your Mordekaiser, since he's so pushed up that the Echo might be going for early gank. Echoes do this a lot of times. I didn't do this in this game, didn't think about it since it's not too high elo, but this is what you should do. Always ping the enemy jungler, especially if you see them on the blue buff. But I'm fine with this. I will now just go for my third camp to get my level 3. And then possibly look for an invade on his red buff. Also, as you can see, mid lane, my Archon has perma prio. So I know that this should be very free. You could also go for full clear, to be honest, but you wanna be as proactive as you can. There's not a playstyle like per se, like being proactive, it always depends on the game state. And with this game state, my bot lane being kind of even, or maybe even winning, and trading a lot, and their mid laner being kind of weak and always outpushed, I actually look to go for an invade here. So Echo is not on his Raptors yet, and I was just thinking, since he died and went for a level 2 gank, that he was just kind of slow. So I end up staying in this push over here. But actually this Echo, I don't know what he did. Again, it's not too high elo, it's only Emerald. He did some very weird shit, okay? So he went for the grab, he ends up going mid lane now. And I don't know what he was thinking. He just blatantly goes full on vision for an invade on my blue buff. So I was thinking to myself, if he's not over here, I actually expected him to go for Raptors, just like my mid laner. My Archon is actually moving over here. But he's not doing Raptors, so what is he doing? I was thinking maybe Scuttle, but my Lulu actually ends up spotting him on my blue buff. So right here I was pinging on my way to blue buff, but since the Miss Forge was moving, I was just, happy to give him the blue buff and trade it for my Raptors, and then in case he goes for another invade, on my Gromp to collapse on him over there. So I ping a lot. My laners, believe it or not, actually in low elo they will move, but I don't know, they were kind of autopiloting. I was actually chatting to come, because I know if the Echo is not here by now, that he has to be somewhere over here. So I'm pinging, and he's actually on my Gromp, and ends up getting it barely. This should never happen, and it actually never happens 9 times out of 10. But he's really inting. My Archon has prio mid lane, so if I was the Echo here, I would never go for such a play, to be honest. We end up killing him here, and I actually go for a Drake here. I don't play a lot of Kha'Zix, I was just testing my damage, but I have no gold spent, I'm level 3, so doing this is really into, I believe. The Echo could easily move here if he wanted to. Nonetheless, I still went for this, so this is really a bad play if you ask me. But regardless, the concept here is to play for bot lane, possibly. So they actually end up contesting this. They barely survive. And I should, if the Echo is not here by now, I should be pinging topside. He could actually be taking my top camps, okay? So this is why going for Drake, since it takes so long, was kind of a bad play. But still, the concept still applies. Play for bot lane. I actually went for his Crux because I wanted to stay bot side since their bot lane was, really low after contesting Drake. And I ended up going for double kill. My Lulu actually flashed into the tower, so that was kind of int. But I'm more than happy with that result. And again, it just comes down to playing for your bot lane in this game. Since I knew that this lane will be winning, I knew that this game will be way more beneficial to get ahead than my top lane, since they're very strong. And instead of the Echo actually taking my camps, he went for 3 grubs. And again, this guy, he's not aware of lane matchups. He doesn't know that Akshan has perma prior. So if he wanted to invade me, he should have done it before doing the grubs, right? So right now, Echo is on an 8-second death timer, and since he did grubs and my raptors, I know that his top bot set camps have to be up, so I actually go for this. I actually pinged my Lulu to come here to help me, and we could possibly kill him, since again, Akshan has perma prior mid lane. Yasuo cannot move. If he moves, fine. He would just lose a wave, alright? Lulu actually ends up going bot lane, which is not too bad. It's not ideal, because they can never kill his Kog'Maw. And right now I know that Echo is most likely either bot lane or on his blue side camps. So if he's bot side, fine, ping bot side camps, best case here. If he is on his blue buff, just kill him, right? And that's what I end up doing. I'm Kha'Zix with 2 items. I have my Dirk, I have Dark Harvest. He's isolated, I can easily kill him. He has no flash, go for the kill, easy as that. So this really all ties down into champion identity, looking at the map, looking at your lanes, and you will have a really easy time doing all of this if you just go through the step-by-step checklist, which I showed you guys, because it all comes down to your jungle matchup and your lane matchups, and playing accordingly to the game state. So right here, I was not in a hurry to go bot lane yet, because I was thinking that Echo might be topside again, and I could possibly take his Gromp. Yasuo actually ends up defending his blue side camps. So right now I just want to take my top side camps and go for reset. Also, I have a lot of gold, so I just want to clear my weak side camps. Again, I want to play for bot side. I just want to clear those camps so the Echo has no counter play of, let's say I go for bot lane play after this, so he has no counter play of invading my camps, right, and getting gold. So I was just looking top lane here in case this Garen survived with 1 HP. So right now I just want to base, and I know that the Echo, the only thing I can get is my Raptors really. But even that is tough because I have a perma pushing mid lane. So right now I'm in a perfect position to play for my strong side, which is bot lane in this case. I want to get this lane ahead. I know we can kill them very easily with our damage. And they also have no flashes. So right now I'm just taking my top camps, since I don't think we can dive them yet. But me being bot lane here, or bot side, is very good. Why? I'm permanently looking at my bot lane, right? If the Echo is maybe going for a gank. And being this strong, you always want to 9 times out of 10 match the enemy jungler, okay? So they have no way of getting back into the game. Remember, Echo, there is no top side objective really yet. There's only my Raptors, to be honest, and even then I could ping my Akshan to check them. So right here, the Echo is really in no position but to AFK farm. And right now I see instead of going bot lane, I just go for the free kill in the mid lane, since the Yasuo is just over pushing. They do this every time in low elo, even in high elo. Go for the kill, and Echo is really fucked right now. So now I'm just going for the grab, and I'm really thinking permanently, go play for bot side, okay? Of course, if he might invade 3 camps topside and get a lot of gold, I might go to defend this. But here, I know Echo could go for bot lane. Most likely he's going for the topside grubs, since he's so weak. So I'm more than happy to possibly get camps, but even though they're not up, I'm more than willing to just spend my time over here and just hover around bot lane, and they get plates, they get a lot of pressure. And also, I still have the ability to go for the Drake and just scale out of this world. Okay, so what I'm doing here now, instead of going for Drake, I actually end up trading the crops for his camps. I actually believe crops in this game for Echo is also very useless. It doesn't give that much XP, that much value, and I would never do what he's doing. And again, this also allows me, by taking his Raptors, to stay even longer on bot side without losing, on my economy, on my gold. And even though I could go for my top side camps, I'm just playing for this bot lane. And this is how I end up 6 kills in 11 minutes and pretty much carry this game pretty hard. So here I actually end up staying even more for the bot lane, because I know I can grab his camp, and since I'm so strong, I'm in no hurry to base, okay? I'm already in bot lane, I can take his camp and then go for a Drake, and this game is, really take advantage of my bot lane winning by me being there. So right now I just go for this Drake. I know if the Echo wanted to invade my top side camps, he would have done it already, so no reason to base and protect him. Ideally, you want to ping your top laner again, that Echo might be here. Again, the map is split into our weak and strong side. And I actually used my second smite charge, so he actually ends up taking that. So that was kind of a lazy mistake by me. But even, to be honest, you should not lose his Drake, but I mean, he ends up dying for it. And in this position, I was maybe looking for a kill, but I realized that I have 2k gold, Echo is on a death timer, perfect time with downtime, and I can easily go for a base here, spend my gold. I'm 7 kills, Echo is 1 and 5. I have nearly 2 items. He has not even 1 item. No, he actually has 1 item. So I am 1 item ahead. And after clearing my bot side camps, and just pathing straight into bot lane again, this game is over.